This isn't a campaign. This isn't an RNC. I'm not out on the political campaign. I didn't get none of that 1.5.
First of all, Nelly, congratulations for that 1.5 million you got for that show.
Does Nelly come back to St. Louis and visit?
Come on, man. He always St. Louis, but only at the casino. That's where he lose all his money at. And then he go down there on the dub and get his coat.
The rapper Nelly is trending on the internet again, but it is not for a reason that anyone saw coming. Nelly is a legendary rapper from St. Louis who became famous for making hip-hop music that everyone, from all different backgrounds, loved. He recently found himself in the middle of a very angry and intense online argument. This happened because he performed at a special celebration ball for Donald Trump's inauguration in January of 2025. And yes, that is the same Donald Trump who was the president. The very moment that a video of his performance was posted on the internet, people absolutely went crazy and started talking about it nonstop.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck one of you.
This was the same Nelly who, a few years earlier, had publicly said that he did not support Donald Trump being president. So, when video clips appeared online showing him performing on stage at Trump's big event for his return to office, many of his fans felt shocked and betrayed. For his fans, it wasn't just about the specific person he performed for. It was about what his performance represented and what it seemed to mean. Donald Trump's event already had a list of performers that made a strong statement, featuring famous country music stars like Jason Aldean, Carrie Underwood, and Billy Ray Cyrus. But seeing Nelly, a famous rapper, up on that stage took the controversy to a whole new level. This was especially true because the performance happened on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a holiday that honors a great civil rights leader. Social media immediately exploded with reactions. Fans were angry and called him many names, from a sellout who betrayed his beliefs for money to cheap entertainment for the crowd.
So ain't nobody gonna perform for Donald Trump, huh? Which one of you jigaboo ass niggas gonna be the first one to do it? I'm waiting. I'm gonna roast the fuck one of you Uncle Tom for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first? I was the one that performs for himself.
One angry comment that someone wrote online said, "Maybe he thinks he will be popular with a new crowd now. But bro, you are just cheap entertainment to them." Another person wrote a comment that said, "They made a fool of you. You let all of us down. The platform and voice you had was so important, but now it means nothing." People were just so confused and could not understand the reason why. They could not figure out why a black artist like Nelly, who has a lot of influence and a big fan base, would choose to perform on the same stage as a man who many people accuse of creating division and of showing disrespect to communities of people who already have a hard time.
Does Nelly come back to St. Louis and visit?
Come on, man. He always St. Louis, but only at the casino. That's where he lose all his money at. And then he go down there on the dub and get his right? And he go over there on Shreve and get his perks. And then he go down there and get his X. He be at all the dope spots just getting and shit. Well, but he always get it on credit. Like he still don't get no money for that. I was like, everything he get off his love, off cause he Nelly. That's what I'm not gonna know he up yet. That's what I'm. But he need to give me my 50 million. That's what I'm. You saw he get caught with the XC, so you know I ain't cap. You saw that. Yeah, he go in St. Louis, get his little drugs, and go there and lose all his money to the casino. Right? That's my 50 million at. My 50 million down in that casino. Stop playing on me. Stop playing on me. Down, baby. Stop playing.
So Nelly spends all his money. Spends all his money. How are you gonna get your money from him if he's broke?
You know, I want the Masters game. You don't get it. It ain't about the money. I want the Masters. I want what's mine. See, he ain't gonna be able to pay me. His card gonna decline, and when his card decline, the Masters is mine. Stop playing with me. That's what I want the house. I want everything. I want Ashanti game. Ashanti look good on me. Stop playing with me. How you think Ashanti and his son look on me?
The timing of the performance made the situation feel even worse and more painful for people. It happened on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which is a holiday that stands as a powerful symbol of equality and justice for all people. So now, fans were watching someone from their own culture and community entertaining a political figure who had been making comments that many people saw as racist for many years. The entire situation felt completely insensitive and out of touch to the fans who had grown up looking up to Nelly and admiring him for being a real and confident person. That is when the comedian D.L. Hughley joined the conversation online. He is known for being very outspoken and saying exactly what he thinks. He did not hold back at all, and he posted a message on Instagram that felt very powerful and hard-hitting, like a hammer. In his post, he wrote, "So that's what we're doing now." He then spoke directly to Nelly, saying, "Trump supporting white supremacy isn't just something he did in his past, Nelly. It is still who he is as a person today."
He got some ways. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's why I'm not telling you who to vote for. But what I'm saying is that he's the president of the United States. He's not the candidate for the United States. He's the president. He won.
D.L. Hughley reminded everyone about Donald Trump's past. He brought up Trump's old negative comments about immigrants, his praise for a man named Daniel Penny, and his long history of making remarks that were controversial about race. D.L. wasn't just criticizing Nelly's performance, he was calling it a complete betrayal of his fans. He even made a point about other rappers like Snoop Dogg, showing how some artists who once said they were against Trump had quietly changed their minds once a lot of money was offered to them. Then, D.L. asked a question that made the internet go crazy. What is that orange dude promising these artists to make them perform for him? The situation became even messier when D.L. posted another message online. This time, he called out the kind of performers that Trump usually picks. He wrote that Trump wants artists who won't scare the white folks. He said that other rappers like Kodak Black, Lil Pump, and Waka Flocka had already been used for Trump's purpose in the past. According to D.L., Nelly was just the new face meant to make Trump's event look diverse without anyone actually challenging Trump's ideas. D.L. said, "It says something when you can make a man who once spoke out against you perform for you. I guess the price was right." That line became a super popular quote overnight. Suddenly, every news outlet and person online was guessing about how much money Nelly was paid and whether he was having real money problems. Fans started looking into his past financial issues, and the more they looked, the worse the situation seemed. Nelly was once praised as one of hip-hop's most successful artists. He sold 21 million albums, got a special Diamond Award for his album Country Grammar, and had huge #1 hits like Hot and Harry. But now, his financial empire wasn't looking so great anymore. What fans didn't realize at first was that behind his flashy performance and big smile, Nelly might have been dealing with some real money troubles. For years, there had been quiet rumors about him having problems with taxes, having habits of gambling too much, and his income going down. People started connecting the dots. If his finances were shaky, that could explain why he took a job that was so controversial. Some fans said he's just doing what he has to do to survive, while others saw it as the ultimate act of selling out. Either way, everyone had an opinion. What should have been a simple musical performance turned into a public trial about loyalty, race, and money. And for Nelly, it was clear the storm of criticism wasn't going away anytime soon. When people started digging into Nelly's money problems, things got very serious very fast. The same man who once ruled the early 2000s with huge hits like Ride With Me, Hot and Harry, and Dilemma was now rumored to be drowning in debt. Back in the day, Nelly wasn't just another rapper. He was the rapper. His first album, Country Grammar, sold enough to go diamond, and he had 4 songs and 3 albums that reached #1 on the charts. This made him one of the top-selling rappers in American history. But all that success didn't protect him from the IRS, which is the government agency that collects taxes. After being quiet in the music scene for years, his 2021 comeback album, Heartland, didn't sell nearly as well as his old records. It only reached number 45 on the Billboard chart. That failure was followed by bad news. The IRS had filed a federal tax lien against him for over $2.4 million. A lien means that if he makes any money, it could go straight to the government to pay off his debt. For someone who used to be worth over $40 million, this was a massive fall. It wasn't just the federal government he owed money to. The state of Missouri said he owed them another $150,000. That's when fans began to realize that something wasn't adding up. How does a multi-platinum rapper who sold 21 million albums and toured the world end up fighting with the IRS? Then, the rumors about his gambling habits started surfacing. People close to Nelly claimed he couldn't stay away from poker tables. He had been seen at casinos from St. Louis to Las Vegas and even competed in the 2007 World Series of Poker. But according to reports, his total winnings over all those years were only about $5,000. Imagine playing for years and losing much more money than you win. Those numbers don't lie. And when you're living a high-profile lifestyle with expensive houses, cars, and parties, the bills start piling up very quickly. When word got out about his IRS problems back in 2016, fans actually tried to help him. Social media rallied around him with a hashtag called #StreamNelly, telling people to listen to his song, Hot and Harry, millions of times to help him pay off his tax debt. It was a wild idea. Fans really thought their Spotify streams could bail him out. But experts calculated that it would take over 400 million streams just to cover the $2.4 million he owed. In other words, there wasn't enough streaming power in the world to fix that huge financial hole. That's when Nelly had to make some serious moves. By 2023, he sold half of the rights to his music to a company called Harborview Equity Partners for $50 million. On paper, that sounded like a major comeback, but fans weren't convinced. People said that kind of deal screamed desperation, especially because other reports showed his total net worth had dropped to around $8 million. Then things went from bad to worse. Headlines broke that Nelly was arrested for drug possession in Missouri. The crazy part was that this happened right after he hit a $50,000 jackpot on a slot machine. Yes, you heard that right. The man won big, but still couldn't stay out of trouble. Police reports said he was celebrating his win when officers searched him and found what they described as illegal drugs. Luckily for Nelly, he avoided jail time, but fans couldn't ignore the fact that this wasn't just a one-time visit to a casino. He was known as a regular at those machines. People online started calling him the Casino King, not as a compliment, but as a warning sign that his gambling problem had gone too far. With all that going on, Hughley's claims suddenly didn't sound so crazy. When he said Nelly performed for a paycheck, it felt more believable knowing that the IRS, the state of Missouri, and a bad casino habit were all causing him major stress. Social media users started piecing together the timeline. Years of lost money, tax liens, and risky gambling. They decided the Trump show might have been his way of getting a quick and large payment. One user on X, which used to be called Twitter, said, Nelly got a massive gambling problem and needed a huge bag immediately. Another wrote, he went broke, asked people to stream his music, and now he's performing for MAGA just to stay relevant. It wasn't just fans talking. People who work inside the music industry started giving their opinions, too. Some said this wasn't about politics or selling out. It was about survival. After years of fading from the spotlight, Nelly needed to do something loud enough to get people talking about him again, and performing for Trump, even with all the backlash, definitely did that. Still, others argued that chasing controversy for a paycheck could cost him his legacy. Once you cross that line in public perception, it's very hard to come back. The man who once represented Midwest pride and smooth confidence now had people questioning what he really stood for. Whether it was a smart business move or a desperate one, the internet made sure everyone knew that Nelly had turned his career into a gamble of its own. After the internet completely turned on him, Nelly finally had enough and decided to set the record straight. He went on a podcast called Willie D. Live, hosted by a member of the Ghetto Boys, and addressed everything head-on. Sitting calmly, but looking visibly frustrated, he told Willie D that his performance at Trump's event had nothing to do with money and that people were twisting the story. According to Nelly, it wasn't about politics, it was just business. He said music is supposed to bring people together, not divide them, and that performing for a crowd doesn't automatically mean you stand for everything they believe in. But his words didn't calm the storm. Instead, they sparked a new wave of backlash, especially after Nelly went as far as to defend Trump. He said the media blew things out of proportion, and that Trump wasn't as bad as people made him out to be. Fans who remembered his old interviews were stunned. See, back in 2017, Nelly had said the exact opposite during an interview. At the time, he joked about liking Trump as a businessman, but not as a president. He said, I like Donald Trump. I just don't like Donald Trump as my president. Dude is a trip pre-president. I was cool with him. Loved his hotels. I'm more or less mad that I can't stay at his hotels now. Now, the man who once cracked jokes about Trump's leadership was standing on his stage performing and defending him publicly. Fans couldn't help but call it a complete flip-flop. Some said he'd sold his soul for a check, while others tried to argue that maybe he was trying to rebuild connections with powerful people in the industry. Either way, Nelly's explanations weren't convincing most of the hip-hop community. Hughley immediately jumped back online, doubling down on everything he said earlier. He reposted his original rant with a caption saying, "I said what I said. It's embarrassing watching a man who once had a voice now dance for approval." He called Nelly's response weak and said it was sad to see someone with that kind of legacy defending a person who had openly disrespected people who look like him. It was a harsh critique, but many people agreed with him. However, not everyone was attacking Nelly. Some artists, like Trick Daddy, came to his defense, and his comments made people look at the situation from another angle. Trick Daddy went on Instagram Live and said, "Y'all acting like this personal when it's business. First of all, congratulations to Nelly on that $1.5 million check he got for that performance. I wish they'd call me too." He explained that if his worst enemy paid him that much to perform, he'd take the deal without hesitation. "It's not about politics, it's about feeding your family," he said. To him, it was simple math, money talks. But that defense only added more fuel to the debate. Some said Trick Daddy was just proving Hughley's point, confirming that Nelly did take the stage for a big payday. Others argued that every artist has a right to secure their money, especially in an industry where fame fades fast and bills never stop coming. Meanwhile, social media was still on fire. People were arguing in the comments, debating whether Nelly's move was a sellout or just survival. Some pointed out that rappers like Kodak Black and Lil Pump also supported Trump and didn't face nearly as much outrage. Others said Nelly's case was different because he had built his career on being the people's champ, not a political performer. There was a strong sense of disappointment, like watching one of hip-hop's golden boys make a move that didn't match the man they grew up respecting. And with Nelly defending Trump, instead of taking accountability for upsetting his fans, his attempts to fix his image weren't working. Still, you can't deny one thing. Nelly got everyone talking again. His name was back in headlines after years of being off the radar. He was trending across all platforms, from X to TikTok, and clips of his performance racked up millions of views. Some said it was a strategic PR stunt to reignite interest in his brand, while others saw it as a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Either way, the move worked. Nelly was back in the spotlight, even if it came with a lot of controversy attached. But here's the real question, was it worth it? He may have secured a big payment, but he also split his fan base right down the middle. For some, Nelly will always be the St. Louis icon who gave them timeless hits. For others, he's now the rapper who performed for Trump and stood on what they see as the wrong side of history. At the end of the day, this situation showed how fast fame, loyalty, and money can clash in the entertainment world. In 2025, it's not enough to just make good music. You have to navigate politics, public opinion, and personal survival all under one spotlight. Whether Nelly's move was about chasing a paycheck or rebuilding his name, he's now living with the consequences. His legacy might be more complicated now, but one thing's for sure. He reminded the world that in the game of fame, one performance can change everything overnight.